First time we arrived in Georgia, we landed in Batumi, all the way to the west of the country, which is over there, shortly said. And this time we have 3 days to. We decided just to go there. Well, there is a reason, but it's not super important. It's very interesting to see how the city will hold up to what we remember of it. Because the memories are mixed. I'll explain later what I mean by that. But yeah, just gonna take this train, which goes in 15 minutes, and for 5 hours it's gonna be going, and then we're gonna be there. Let's see how it goes. Located 350 kilometers from the Tbilisi near Turkey border, Batumi is practically the main sea resort that Georgia has, and it takes around 5 hours to get there on the train. Unfortunately for us, both times we went there, we went into darkness, so in 1 to 2 hours it was completely impossible to see what's happening on the outside. Even though it is a fast train, it takes quite a long time to get to the west coast. Mostly it has to do with terrain that Georgia has all around the place, which is mountains and rivers, a lot of them. The train itself is fine, it's two-story, nothing too special. It works, it's fine. Alright, we have arrived, but it's pretty late. There is a city somewhere in the distance, but just gotta go to hotel and sleep tonight. As a resort city, most of the shiniest attractions that Batumi has are near the shoreline, so that they look good both in day and night. However, if you drive through the main part of town at night, it's nothing special. There's some neon lights there and there, yeah, sure. But best you'd see there is cafes, shops, stores, and mostly empty streets, because not many people walk out at night. So there isn't really much to do if you arrive in the evening other than just going to your hotel. Brief room tour, I guess. So it's quite a nice hotel room. Around 280 lari for 2 days, which is roughly $100. So a bed, a desk, some tea stuff. Actually, this thing is probably the first time I'm seeing this in Georgia. There's minibar, which you can use and then pay. Prices are quite high, like chocolate 10 lari, and it's just a normal Kit Kat. It's like 5 times the price. The locker, and then the balcony with actually the view on the sea line. Can't see it right now, haha, but it's there in a pitch black. It's a sea line. It's a newer hotel that they're building, still not working. That's a casino area right there. This is just a living area. These buildings, which are weird, yeah. But yeah, gonna go to the bed now. Bye-bye. After having good 8 hours of sleep and having some pretty decent breakfast, to be honest, we went for a walk. We're staying in the older part of town, and this one is generally more interesting, near a very big lake, which apparently had a zoo near it, which I didn't know existed. So yeah, I guess apparently I'm turning into professional zoo reviewer. This one, unlike in Tbilisi, was quite small. You could probably cover it in like 5 to 10 minutes if you don't spend too much time looking at everything. Got a bit of lucky, some of the cages were being cleaned up and some animals were being fed while we were there. But overall, due to its size, it didn't feel like it was bad. It was okay. The animals, again, like I'm repeating myself, animals feel like they're happy. The birds are fine. The monkeys are doing things. There's a lot of cats and dogs as well around. After checking the entire zoo, we went to pick up the cake. Because we arrived in Batumi because Nesta's sister had a birthday. So we had to walk to a more residential area. And in the day, the Batumi residential area really starts showing. Buildings are all placed almost at random, there is no cohesion. Streets are fairly narrow and full of cars. Both older and newer buildings are being slowly consumed by black mold. Batumi is situated on a seashore, and as a result it's humid in there. And since Georgia doesn't have central heating, everyone just uses boilers. As a result, everything inside and outside starts slowly molding. The architecture mishmash is probably the more egregious thing about the city. Because at times it feels like you're in a fairly unremarkable town, and the other times it feels like you're in somewhere in Dubai. Which also isn't being helped by the fact that the old panel houses are being added extra rooms almost by the people who live here. It happens all around Georgia, in Batumi, Tbilisi, and other cities that we visited, but only here it feels so unnatural and crazy. One of the things I do like about Georgia is that every single town generally has a public service hall like this one. And this is like the place where you can do absolutely everything, like get car numbers, register your business, and they're all very interestingly built. Like this one is like oval shaped over there, and then there's this column, not really a penis, but like in the Tbilisi one really looks like Sydney Opera in a way. I believe I showed it in my previous video. But yeah, every single town has them differently. I don't believe that any single one of them is like boring. Crossing a road is unfortunately a luxury. The cars will generally not stop seeing you, so you kind of have to make it visible that hey, I'm going, fucking let me go, because otherwise they just won't. Well, it is obviously not the season right now, but the weather today is quite good, because generally it's quite unpredictable here. It can be raining out of absolutely fucking nowhere. This is practically a shoreline. Yeah, it's Black Sea. If you go all the way there, you'll eventually get to Russia. If you go all the way there, you're eventually gonna get to Turkey. Actually, Turkey is that direction. Probably just... oh, whoops, sorry. Around 20 kilometers until the Turkey border. We did go there. It's, well, it's a border. Nothing unusual there. And this is the hotel lane, as you can see. A lot of hotels here. This building, I'll tell about that one a bit later. This is my favorite building in Batumi for all the wrong reasons. But it's a stone beach. There is no sand here. It's all boulders. Quite nice. They're quite nice, but they get really hot. And we used to live all the way there, practically the end of civilization. So this is the part where you generally would be spending your time if you ever come to Batumi. Because why would you go here other than for a vacation time? That makes perfect sense, right? This is a resort city. That's hotels and casinos. What else do you need? See, right over there, a lot of children attractions, very big beach lane, very long one. It's probably like 7 kilometers long, maybe even longer. It's quite all right. And if you never go out of this part and out of Old City, I guess Batumi is great, especially if the weather is nice. But if it isn't, it's just, yeah, it's very chaotic. Let's go there. It's Magnolia building. I love this one. The story behind this one is fantastic. Oh, have a look. Somebody's been very medicating well here on the beach of Batumi. Fantastic, right? Healthcare, thumbs up. This magnificent bastard, the Magnolia building. This, despite looking as, well, take a wild guess, how old is it? 3, 2, 1. It was built in 2011, I believe, and it was supposed to be like a very elite complex of flats, like right near the shoreline. It's here, and it's very on the edge between old and new Batumi. So it was supposed to be something grand, something amazing. Turned out to be this. As you can see, it's covered in black mold. The top of it looks extremely weird. I'll tell you why in a second. And I've heard stories of this building at this point just being a drug addict lair, because I heard from the people who tried to find a flat in there that from the story that they've told, it seemed that they were almost mugged there, because the person who was trying to sell them a rent in there was a very shady guy, and then two bouncer looking guys rocked in, and if they feel like if they would have stepped in the flat, they would have probably been mugged there. potentially something worse. But yeah, the reason this building has these floors not look like they belong there is because they shouldn't. The original plan for this building goes all the way up to this lane, and the building was not supposed to be any higher, but then the guy who was responsible for building it built extra 5 floors, for which he actually went to jail. I'm not sure if he's out yet, but yeah, this monstrosity now stands here. Most of it, not all of it, is inhabited. Some of it is, but I love this building just because when we first saw it, we thought it was built in like 50s or 60s, but no, 2011. Great building, really my favorite. And as most Georgian city, there's gonna be a lot of dogs lying around. A lot of them. And if you look at one of them, they'll start following you until they get bored, which is hours, potentially. As far as I'm aware, this beautiful guy is a casino. So it's actually just an elevator all the way to the top to the ball. It's very shiny at night, but there is nothing else there. I've not been there, I don't have money for casinos today, but this is generally the more general resort area where there is a lot of cafes, a lot of casinos. They're all behind these buildings. This building is casino. This building isn't casino. This is just hotel. But all the way there, the golden. This is a casino. Over there is also another casino. There's a lot of them here. It's a general resort area, so there is like it's very nice here. Even in spring, this was probably my most favorite part of Batumi, because just this felt the most civilized. The entire old town as well, which is there. Old town is generally more consistent in terms of buildings that it has, and as a result, you feel way more welcome. You don't feel like you're just walking between places that just try to cash in on tourists the most. It feels more genuine. Also, this is, I don't think it works now, maybe it does, but this is a Ferris wheel, which is atop of casino, which is also a hotel, but I have never seen it working. I'd like to go there, but I don't feel like I will. But if I will, I'll add it here. Over there you can see cable car, which goes all the way to the mountain, all the way up there. It's fairly overpriced. I mean, it's no La Paz, and yeah, this one is kind of long, but charging 30 lari for 1.5 kilometer long cable car is a bit egregious, I would say. We went there in March out of curiosity. I think this was one of the least useful way to spend 30 lari, but I mean, you can at least have a look at how the entire path from the hill looks like. It was also winter, so there was snow, but there is nothing to do up there. There is like a cafe and a wine shop and a looking point, and that's really all there is. Truth be told, I'm not entirely sure what should be called Old Batumi. To me, it's the area on the very edge of a town, closer to the port. But if you'd want to go shopping or go eat some very nice food, that's where the most selections of the places to visit. The restaurants, boutiques, casinos, almost everything is situated there. After walking around the entire city for like a couple hours, we decided to go take a small rest before we would go to birthday party tonight. And yet again we had to go into residential area, but this time at night. And it is practically the same as you already saw it was in the car, except you can actually have a look at some corners and alleyways. The further you go from city center at night, the more the city becomes the megapolis. It changes so rapidly. In probably just 500 meters you go from buildings that are 2-3 floors high to these absolutely gigantic skyscrapers, which are being built in absolutely obscene amount all across Batumi's left part. And even if I don't like inconsistencies in the city, this part looks fantastic at night. Been waiting for you, Mr. Bond. Take you to the final place in Batumi where I have not been yet, which is a plain looking spot. the edge of the shore. Let's go. Another thing about Georgia, which I haven't told you about yet, is that everyone loves to dry their clothes outside. Again, that has to do with lack of central heating, so the best place to put your clothes for them to dry is where there is the most air. And since Batumi is also very humid, keeping them inside of your house without being able to reliably dry them is practically making them rot right there. It happens on all kinds of buildings, new, old. Create this dissonance because you can see the very luxurious new buildings. Then you turn your head around and it's somebody's trunks on a string. Batumi also has one of the artsiest McDonald's that there is in reality. It has grass on top, you probably can see it here, and it's also a gas station, so it's like a very, you know, all made of glass, very, I don't know, just very cool looking. And right there is Mac Shawarma. I'm not sure if that's an official place, but I heard it's good. Maybe I'm gonna try it. I don't think Tbilisi has it, but it is here in Batumi. Look at that. Yum. At moments like that, I'm almost sad that McDonald's actually isn't good. Because sitting in a place like this, I mean, this is worth any high-tier restaurant. It's a very good-looking place. Very pleasant to be in. Which is expressingly high compliment for McDonald's. The more you go to southwest across the shore, the newer buildings become. That's where most hotels are situated. That's where we found ourselves for the first time this March when we first time arrived in Batumi. And it was painting a very sad picture. Despite these hotels and buildings being new, there is practically nothing there to do. Yes, there is a good park, and the shoreline is quite nearby, but any sort of actual good activity is in city center, so you have to either take a bus or taxi all the time you want to go somewhere. The southmost part of Batumi, where essentially over here is where the planes will land, because behind me is a landing lane, whatever it's called. It's probably the newest part of the town, with all these buildings being practically still in a buildings in construction state, but at the same time it's really far from a city. So it is the most consistent new part of a city, but at the same time it's also the furthest one, and it's very close to the airport, which at least, despite being international, doesn't have that many planes coming and going every single day, but it still probably has quite a lot of noise attached to it. So there was a delayed departure, which we missed because we weren't expecting it to be delayed, and now the arrival that we came to watch is delayed as well for like half an hour. And I hope that this won't start raining on our faces, because it does seem like there is a rain all the way over there. And we still need to be here for like 25 minutes to see the plane. So yeah, wish me luck. I've been watching it over at Flight Radar for quite a long time now. It should become visible in a minute at this point. There it is. Barely visible. Out of focus, obviously, again. There's that spot over there. That's the plane. Not visible again. Should be a first row seats. Should be right above me. It's pretty loud already. Yep. It's already really loud. Headphone users warning in 3, 2, 1. Damn, look at that. This guy wasn't even on a flight radar. He was being small. It's like a 20 people plane or some shit. Oh well. Probably was a better view, but it's pretty small. Whatever. After performing the plane watching ritual, we decided to go back and have some food before we inevitably have to jump on a train back. I was able to have a better look at all the new hotels which are being built near the airport. And yeah, again, as I said, they do look really good, and the view from outside of them is probably fantastic. As far as service is also up to a standard, you can probably have a very decent vacation here. Problem is that the beach lane here is absolutely dreadful. It is as broken as it was when we first arrived here. And this is past the main tourist season as well, which is just ridiculous. While we were walking, I barely saw anyone even go towards the water till we went past that area with the hotels. That's probably where the main beach life actually starts, as far as you can get over the stone beach. And the main skyscrapers that you can see probably from almost every single part of this town are Orbi Towers. And absolutely gigantic apartments, probably having few thousands of flats. From what I heard, it has like 12 elevators and it's not enough. Third one is being built and there are more modern buildings all around the place. Probably the only place where you don't see the clothes drying hanging on a balcony. Yet. Got to legendary Mak Shawarma, which actually doesn't have much food at all. That's all there is, well, plus fries. There's more people here than in McDonald's. Quite a lot of people. Hopefully it's good.
Покажи свої полшаурми.
And after trying to battle my Mac Shawarma, though not fully successfully, we went on a small walk around the old town before we go to train station. And there really isn't much to add about it, it just looks good. You walk around these small streets and just enjoy the atmosphere. Though it becomes much more obvious when you get closer to the main street, because everything around becomes more noisy, and streets starts to be, well, as they normally are in Georgia. If you want to print something, here's a whole street of copy services. Or here is a Turkish street where all the Turkish restaurants are. Or here's all the pharmacies which are in the city, and so on and so forth. But eventually it was time to go. Finally back at the train station. It's getting night, so 2 days, 2 nights. Still have half of my Nest's Mak Shawarma, but I want to say that 6 months later, Batumi did hold up better, but potentially due to the very short time span that I spent here. If you don't go over every single place that there is in the town for like 10 times, it's quite alright, it's quite nice, despite being bizarre at places. But obviously if you come here, you should visit some different places, like go to, there's a very cool botanical garden that direction over there. There is just generally a lot of tours that you can get from here, or from any part of Georgia really. So if you ever come here, just don't spend it in a hotel and a beach. It's the least interesting part of Georgia, and it's not the best part even here. Yeah, with this, gonna go hop on a train and then go back home. Hope you had a good time watching this video. I'll see you guys next time.